Public Safety Committee for March 19, 2006. First item is minutes from February 19th, 2006 Public Safety Committee.
Move approval.
Second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass. The next item is an ordinance rezoning the property address at 3109 Mattapan, Charleston County TMS 46913000029. This is from R1 single family to R2.
Move to approve.
Moving second. Any questions by council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pass. Number 3, a request for speed humps on SCDOT and Kernwood Drive, District 5, District 3.
Move approval.
Second.
Moving second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 4, resolution adopting city North Charleston watershed master plan. I'll ask Mr. Dowell Grimple. Need a motion on that, please,
Move for approval.
Second.
just to give us some information on that.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So this watershed master plan concept or idea came out of 2.5 years ago when the city was redoing their community rating system rating, and we identified a watershed master plan as a mechanism to get a good number of community rating system points for us on the next time our rating review comes around. So we got a grant from the Rural Infrastructure Authority to actually pay for most of this plan and put out a RFQ. We hired Woolpert Associates to prepare the plan for us, and I have Crystal Muller here from Woolpert who's gonna just give a brief overview of the watershed master plan for you.
Hopefully there's a presentation. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. My name's Crystal Muller. As Mr. Dalrymple said, I am with Wilbert. So we're gonna give you a short presentation, just kind of show you some cool maps that we made through this whole process and kind of give you a high level overview of what we did, what we found, and answer any questions you may have. So as Mike kind of alluded to, the project purpose, we were trying to get more community rating system points. The more points the city gets, the lower the insurance rates are for people in the community, so it's a very good thing. It also adds protection for the city. We were looking to identify future flood-prone areas due to increased rainfall intensity. If you've lived here, you've noticed the storms have gotten worse, faster, more rain. So we were looking at that kind of future projections, looking for anything the city could do to mitigate this potential future flooding and supporting your capital improvement program. So if you don't know, North Charleston receives water from the watershed, the Ashley River and the Cooper River. You guys are kind of straddled by these two major rivers, which means that you aren't just dealing with runoff from the city, you're dealing with runoff from everybody upstream who contributes. You only have control over the city, so we always have to keep that in mind when we do these studies. So one thing we always look at when we do these modeling efforts, so as part of the watershed master plan, we developed what's called a 2D model, which basically says where does the rain fall and where does it go when it falls and when it flows overland and flows through pipes. So one thing we look at is where have there been flooding complaints previously due to large storm events, hurricanes. Obviously 2015 flood is a big source of data for this area. And then we look at the model and we say, where does the model show it's flooding and where do we see flooding complaints? And if those don't match, we look at maintenance concerns and we look at, is our model wrong? Thankfully, this model lined up exactly with where we saw these flooding complaints, which was good. Go ahead. So one of the things I mentioned that we looked at is we looked at where is it raining now, where is it flooding now, and then where could we have issues in the future? Now, models are only as good as the data we put into them, so we looked at NOAA future projections for rainfall. For coastal areas, rainstorms are expected to get more rainfall and more intense rain events. So not only will we see more rain, but we'll see it faster. We also looked at future land use based on y'all's zoning, and then we looked at sea level rise. Current NOAA projections, don't get scared when you look at these numbers. These are the high projections that NOAA does to have conservative future estimates. They're saying potential of 1.8 feet by 2060 and 5.1 feet by 2100. 21, I don't even know how you would say that. And so, oops, I'm sorry, go back really quick. And so the darker bluish purple here is the future flooding. And so if you notice, the really cool thing is you're not really seeing large areas where there's gonna be flooding potentially in the future that we don't currently have issues. A lot of it's along the marshes. The city is higher than the other side of the river in most places, so they may see a little more water than you guys will. But a lot of this water that you're seeing is essentially a result of you're getting more rain faster and then it can't get out as fast. So the one thing we really wanna look at is not only where are we getting water that we aren't now, but how high is the water getting? How long is the water sitting in some of these areas that maybe only see a little bit now or don't see any water right now at all? And so we zoomed in a little and we kind of identified 6 major areas where we were seeing not just future potential for floodwaters, but where there's homes, where there's businesses. We don't really care if the marsh floods, that's kind of the purpose of them. That's why we try to protect those areas. That's why we don't want people building in these floodplains. They need to be there to absorb this water, hold it, and release it. So the watershed master plan kind of goes into more detail in each of these 6 areas and looks at what potential issues there may be, what may be causing them, and just things to consider as far as how long the water is going to stay there, how deep the water might get, and what these people may see. The dark blue, again, the dark bluish purple is the potential future areas, and that light blue is where it currently is during a 100-year storm event. So that's an important thing I did not mention before. So this is a big storm event, obviously smaller than the 2015 flood, but larger than your summer rainstorm. This is what the 100-year storm is, what FEMA bases all of their floodplains on that you see on floodplain maps. So it's what we use in these large scale flood studies and watershed master plans. It's kind of the standard that we look at. And we did look at smaller storms, the 25-year, 10-year, and it's all in that report, but this presentation trying not to bore you guys too much. So obviously with these plans, we always want to come down with recommendations. A big thing that came out of this plan is supporting the capital improvement projects. You guys have a pretty substantial list of projects that have been identified through various studies. And this model kind of served to support those efforts and the need for them. It also identified a couple of additional areas where you may want to consider doing some targeted engineering studies to figure out, again, this was a large scale effort. We didn't look at individual pipe systems in neighborhoods. That's kind of what our more detailed engineering studies are focused on. Some big takeaways as far as regulatory and interdepartmental connections is make sure that your departments are talking to each other. Planning and zoning, floodplain, stormwater, public works, the more coordination you can have, the better. It seems to be very easy to say, but very hard to implement. You want to continue to enforce your regulations that you have about development in floodplains. You could consider some stronger regulations, although you guys do a really good job of making sure that people aren't developing where they shouldn't. You do want to limit development in those floodplain areas, and you want to restrict development in your wetlands, in your open spaces, in your marshes, where you saw that blue, darker future flooding. You want to leave that open so that you're not causing issues in the future. And one thing I always like to throw into recommendations, make sure your people know things. A big thing about these flood studies and about flooding complaints is if people have lived in that house for generations and they own that house, they do not have to have flood insurance on that home. A lot of those people who mom and dad paid off the mortgage, they don't know they're in a flood zone. They don't know that they might flood. They don't know that that's normal. I believe you guys send out letters every year. Somebody was telling me this, which is really awesome. You guys send out letters to everybody in the floodplain every year to kind of let them know. And so disseminating that information to those people is just critical so they know what to expect during small storms and big storms. And I think that's it. I tried to keep it high level and include lots of maps. I try not to be too boring, so I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
This is really good, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody.
That presentation, motion is second. I know how to run this. I'm just making sure it's Courtney, you got the name. Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We got one more item of that, and I hope you guys would be okay with this. Mr. the UDO. It's okay by council.
I just want to give everybody a quick update. We want to do this regularly, so everybody's aware of where we're at in this process. We did kick off. We are working with the consultants to create an engagement plan to identify things and people who we need to speak with, get that plan in place so that we can really go out to the public and speak to the residents of the city, collect those, that input from them so that that can be incorporated into the zoning districts that will be written by the consultants that we have hired. So we are getting closer to having a website that addresses the UDO. We're getting closer to having a full engagement plan and an actual kickoff date. And that's when this will actually start in earnest, and we will be reaching out to everybody to get that input so we can incorporate that properly. Like I said, short and sweet. Any questions?
Oh, makes sense. Awesome.
Excellent.
Any other items for public safety? Meeting adjourned.
All right, we'll call the Finance Committee meeting to order for March 19th, 2026. The first item on the agenda is minutes from the February 19th, 2026 Finance meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 2, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute documents necessary to grant an easement to Dominion Energy on property identified as TMS 46608000504 at the Gethsemane Community Center.
Move for approval.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 3, an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute documents necessary to grant an easement to North Charleston Sewer District on property identified as TMS 472000014 at the Public Works Facility.
Move for approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 4, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to consent to the inclusion of designated city of North Charleston parcels within the Charleston and Colleton Counties Joint County Business Park to allow incentives for attainable housing.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
I don't know a lot about how VLOs work. I was reading through the documentation. I've learned a little bit about it, but can we just get like a little brief overview of what's going on?
Sure, yeah. Adam McConnell, I provided this agenda item to you guys. I also have Ryan Johnson here, he's working with the county. A few months ago, Eric Davis from the county's in charge of their Housing and Land Management Division came and gave you an overview of the program where we have this fee in lieu of taxes for affordable housing. So what this does is we evaluate, they go ahead and evaluate a potential development project. And they look at the cost and the pro forma for that development and determine if we were going to allow or provide opportunities for affordable housing there, what would that cost? And if we provide a fee in lieu of taxes, meaning we give them an abatement on their taxes, they're not paying taxes for a period of years, how many affordable units could we then get into that mixed income development? This project is about 129 units total for this project, which is, this is probably gonna be one of the best ones we see. This is a really, really strong project that they're bringing to us. This is a tool that we had never had before. Our toolbox is fairly sparse in the state of South Carolina when it comes to affordable housing. And so this FELO program that the county has initiated, I think can open a lot of doors. And so what happens is, in this particular case, there'll be a certain percentage of the taxes for that property will be abated for a period of 15 years. It'll be amortized, so every year it becomes a little bit less and less and less, and then drops off the books. And in 10 to 15 years, we'll be collecting full taxes on that property. And so we're giving up a little bit of tax revenue today for the delivery of potentially hundreds affordable units down the road. So it's a really, really powerful tool. To put it into context, our housing authority right now controls somewhere around 600 or 700 units total. That's what they lease out. This is bringing another 129 affordable units to that. So it's, whatever that is, 15% of the units of our, and if we do this a few times, we're making a really impact into a deep need in our community. Is that clear?
Yeah, no, thank you, that was perfect.
Quick question, so this is a subsidy we're giving to have affordable housing, do we know the AMI for that, for those units?
60 and 80%.
60 to 80?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there like a timeframe that they have to keep it at that amount, or limited time?
Yeah, it's for 50 years.
And after that, they can go to market rate?
Yeah.
Goes to market, okay.
Yep.
That's all.
And every project that you'll see come through, there's one or two more on the pipeline. They're gonna have different numbers, right? So this project, we're able to get 129 at 60 to 80% AMI. The next one may be 50 units at 80% AMI only. And so like those are, but every project is different depending upon the land cost, the development cost, and what the scope of the project is. But in my judgment, anything we can do to make a dent in the affordable housing crisis that we have is a win for the city. And this is a small, we're not, these projects wouldn't get built otherwise. If we did not, that's really Brian's whole job, is to say, this project doesn't pencil, it doesn't work. They couldn't even develop this apartment complex if this tax abatement wasn't there. So the units wouldn't come in any way except for, I think is the clause, this incentive that we're providing, so.
Adam, if I may, just
Yeah, please.
clarify one piece. Ryan Johnson, we're with Grow America, we're economic development consultants to the county. And so we represent the county and other municipalities involved with the multi-park scheme, which provides for the pilot structure. The only thing I really just wanted to clarify is there's a total of 129 units in this development, of which 53 are workforce, and of those, approximately half are at 60%, half are at 80%. And those are the ones that would have rental rate restrictions on for 15 years, but the others are market rate of the 129.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Had my numbers off.
Yeah, no.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 5, a resolution authorizing the mayor or his designee to execute an agreement with HNTB Corporation, North Charleston, South Carolina, for the planning and environmental linkage study of the elimination of the Durant Avenue Railroad crossing in the amount not to exceed $1.175 million.
Second.
A motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 6, a resolution certifying property located at 1914 Reynolds Avenue, tax map number 469080037, North Charleston in Charleston County, South Carolina, as abandoned building sites pursuant to the South Carolina Abandoned Buildings Revitalization Act.
Move for approval.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 7, request to approve the proposal for the purchase of the replacement generators at Public Works Building E and the fuel station.
To approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Decide.
Any opposed? Item number 8, a request to approve the purchase of a new Watertronics package pump station for the golf course at Westcott from Paramount Pump Services, Lincolnton, North Carolina, in the amount of $359,888.16.
That's your district. Move for approval.
I didn't realize Mr. King was still on council. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Yes, sir.
Oh, well, you're just gonna,
Well, I was gonna let Mr. Willie talk about it a little bit. They're 27 years old, I do know that, but he's gonna give a little more information on what we're actually purchasing.
Yes, they are 27 years old. The unit itself is the end of life. It's hard to get parts to repair the unit. So the person who's actually the manufacturer and the repair person for this, they suggested that we go ahead and install a new one. It's easier to install through the Watertronics ones that we currently have because it goes with all the rest of the sprinkler system and everything else, so we don't have to replace all the sprinklers and all those other things involved. All we're doing is replacing the pump house at this time. And if we don't have a pump house, we can't have irrigation, which means we have no grass, which means we have no golf course.
Staff questions, sir?
I was just gonna make a comment about, I wouldn't mind if we didn't have a golf course.
Say again?
So I wouldn't mind if we didn't have a golf
I'm just gonna leave that right there. Anybody else have any comments? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any other items to come before the finance committee? Hearing none, hope everybody enjoys the basketball tonight. This meeting is adjourned. They won. Let's go back. Yeah.
Somebody else that used to.
TC, you messed me up.
I have a legacy to uphold though.